As we keep it moving, it's been written that you're trying to sort of soldier on, and at some point in maybe late 96, early 97, you guys have a series of tapings at Disney. And I think it's Eric Bischoff. He's talked about this on 83 Weeks. He notices that as you're lacing your boots, you're having issues with your left hand. And he's the one who pushes you to go get checked. What do you remember about that? Is that true, or is that just fiction after the fact?
No, that's absolutely true. I happened to be, I don't know if Eric came in the room where I was dressing, or I just, he just happened to be coming through the locker room. I don't know what the circumstances were, but I was really having a dexterity issue with my thumb and my first finger. They were shutting down. Well, just look at your hand right now, and you take your thumb and you take your first finger out, and now figure out how you're going to button a button.
Right.
With that second finger, and no help from your thumb. I was having a problem getting the eyelets, through my boots to get them laced up, and it's really become an issue. It's almost comical. And Eric looked at me, he goes, "Arn, what's the matter with you? What's wrong?" And I just said something, along the lines, "Well, I've just been having some issues with my neck, and now it's really causing my, a grip issue. I think I just got a pinched nerve." And he kind of looked at me and said, "Well, take your boots off. You're not going to work today. Need you to go see the trainer and get an update on this." So he pretty much shut it down right there.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because I think some of our listeners may think, well, gosh, why wouldn't you have done that beforehand? But what they may not know is sort of the wrestler mentality, and not just the wrestler mentality, the mindset within the business. Explain to them why you wouldn't have, back in October, as soon as you realized, I'm in trouble here, gone and told the office and ran a battery of tests. What was the delay? What was the holdup? Why didn't you do that right then?
Well, different mentality in those days. Positioning in a company and positioning on a card, and more so just your position with the company that you work for, that you're durable and trustworthy, and you're not accident prone, and always on time, always do what's asked of you. All those things it's like a resume that you wanted to build for yourself. I know I did. And you didn't tell people when you were winged up or dinged up, because being hurt is very different than being injured. There are two different animals. We get hurt all the time. We stay hurt. Hurt is it's the norm instead of the exception. Being injured is something different. You cannot disguise being injured, but you tried. There were some of us that, even though we had guaranteed contracts at this point in time, hadn't always been that way. And when I first started, and for the largest part of I guess about the 5 or 6 years I was in the business, you didn't work, you didn't get paid.
Right.
And if you got hurt too much, guess what? He's accident prone and you were gone.
It was very much a different era where guys were very concerned about, forgive what we're talking about right now, because I know we're getting to a promo, but they didn't want to lose their spot, their spot on the card, their spot on the paydays. And if you were looked at as less than reliable or injury prone or whatever the case may be, then your income and your ability to provide for your family may be in jeopardy. Fair to say?
Correct.
So the other interesting thing that's going on here in WCW in this era is you've got guys who, they're missing dates pretty regular. It's in this same era where guys would be advertised for house shows and then not show up and quote unquote pull up lame. And as a result, house show business started to dwindle. And, an old timer might say, well, they started to kill the town because they couldn't deliver what was promoted. And the talent is blamed for a lot of that, right or wrong, because it's being said that they weren't willing to sort of fight through this stuff where maybe a generation or every generation prior to did, because this is the first era where they do have guaranteed contracts where whether they showed up or they didn't, they got paid the same. But I don't imagine that ever crossed your mind.
Never crossed my mind because I wasn't one of those high dollar guys that was making $1 million plus per year. And I also had a responsibility because I was at this time, I would already become one of the agents. So not only was I wrestling in a top spot most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, up and down. But I had a lot of responsibilities with the company, and you just don't take off for a broke finger. You don't take off for 10 or 12 stitches in the back of the head. You just didn't. It just was one of those things that I wasn't trying to be a hard ass. God knows I'm not the toughest son of a bitch in the world. You know, if you don't believe it, watch me stomp my big toe in the middle of the night sometime. It gets pretty ugly. You know, but I have a responsibility to my employer and protecting my job and protecting my family all in the same breath.